Hi, this is Prios. In this video I want to talk about struggles in online poker. This will be about me struggling at the moment, having a downswing over 100k hands. This will also be about the general state of the games and if I think online poker is still profitable. I want to start off talking about my current downswing, and everyone obviously loves to see graphs and I will deliver. We start off with a graph in BBs. This one actually looks good. I was able to win about 6000 BB in EV in 100k hands. Unfortunately, the actual result ended up at minus 2.6 BB 100. Unfortunately, the picture will look even worse if I change to a cash results graph. If I do that, my EV is about even, but I ended up losing more than 50k. I basically ran bad on every stake, but I did especially bad if playing 25-50 or above. I also felt like getting an absurd amount of bad beats. In addition to that, I also most likely got coolered much more often than my fair share of coolers. I will show you just one example hand, obviously from 25-50. This was against the well-known high-stakes player Bulitos, and the hand starts off with a limper in early position. This guy is the mark of the table. Everyone else folds to me and I decided to make an isolation raise with on the button. Unfortunately, the plan doesn't work out and I get two callers from the blinds. The flop comes down monochrome and I decide to check back my middle set. The turn seems like the money card, giving me the third nuts and a really decent full house. This especially feels good because aces will get re-raised often pre-flop and 4-4 is not seeing that much play. At this point I'm really confident about my hand, and after it gets checked to me again I feel even more confident in having the best hand. That's why I make a value bet. Only Bulitos decides to continue. On the river he checks to me and I still think I got the best hand, so I bet for value again. Bulitos comes in for the check raise and now I feel really bad. In the actual hand I used half my time bank and finally decided that I am too high up in my range and can't fold. If I fold the third nuts, I will basically fold about everything in that spot. There are also a few bluffs he might have, for example a high flush together with a 4 blocker. Or he might decide to raise a verse for value. Ace 4 comes into mind. Long story short, I made the crying call and he showed weak ace that he elected to just call out of position. Moving on to some follow-up questions. After losing a ton of money, I like to recap the year. I also need to find out if it still makes sense to play online poker. Or in other words, I need to find out if it's still profitable for me. If I look into my BB graph, it seems that it's still profitable to play online poker, but it's getting worse with every year that goes by. If I compare the state of the games with the ones a few years ago, a lot of the changes that happened are bad for the poker players. The average stakes that are played are a lot lower than a few years ago. The rakeback declined over the years. The average skill of the players increased a lot. I mean, I was a lot worse a few years ago, but my expected winnings were a lot higher nevertheless. So the answer to the first question is yes, I still think it's profitable to play online poker, but it's a lot worse than in the past, and you have to risk huge amounts of money in order to gain a small edge. We also have to consider our opportunity cost. So the real question is, can I do something with a better hourly when playing poker? For example, like starting a business or making a YouTube video. Making a YouTube video is most likely a worse use of my time, but at least I am not risking any money doing so. Let's move on to the next point. For how long will poker remain profitable? I think it will not last many more years from now on. There are a lot of reasons for that estimation. First, bots are now much better than any human. Second, changed regulations most of the time are bad for poker pros. Third, there might be more cheating going on than we recognize. Things like collusion might actually be a big issue. Fourth, the current environment is not only bad for pros, but even worse for recreational players. This is because of the increasing skill gap between pros and fun players. Nowadays, fish lose their money even faster than back in the day. And if it feels impossible for them to win, there is no reason for them to keep depositing. Fifth, the whole environment also is fun player unfriendly. This is because of predatory behavior. I would also feel really bad if I would get hunted down with cheating scripts and other things. The whole situation when the fish is away thing also doesn't help to make the recreationals feel comfortable. If you don't understand yet, I'm talking about the situation when the fish is on the toilet break and everyone else sits out and Snap sits in when the fish returns back. Moving on to other factors that I should take into account that are not obvious at first glance. I might get cheated on a regular basis. If that's the case, it might be true that I should quit now rather than delay my resignation further into the future. I think it might be possible that people collude on a regular basis, especially in the higher stakes games, when you often sit down with the same people. This would also be a perfect explanation why I run that much under EV. This actually might be my correct EV if I would take into account the other hole cards that might be known by many of the other players. I also got really paranoid by now. I think it's also not impossible that some of the poker sites might just be rigged. There might be sites out there that still got super user accounts. And these people might just use their advantage much more carefully than back in the UB days. They might just win the money slowly without causing any suspicions. I'm sure that most of the gambling licenses issued are not worth anything. These sites never ever get the supervision needed to assure that everything is fair and correct. In addition to that, there are sites out there that don't even have a gambling license yet. Or maybe they are not even trying to get one. Now, I might sound like a guy who gives out conspiracy theories even more than before, but it might be the case that some sites screw their users. I'm talking about a cheating software similar to the one that was used by Volkswagen. Poker sites might have a program that is assessing the individual skill or the win rate, and this program might be making adjustments. This program could decrease the winning chances of people with a huge win rate, lowering their win rate close to 0, for example. A program like this would help the poker sites a lot, because this would help to keep the money in the system for a lot longer. And less withdrawals and more gameplay leads to increased profits of the operators. And this will be to the disadvantage of good and great players. Don't get me wrong, most likely I'm just running bad. But all the other things mentioned before still have a decent probability of happening. Especially the collusion is a real threat to me. I hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about the things said before. Also feel free to tell me how you handle a downswing. Thanks for watching, goodbye and good luck at the tables.